Well, hello, it's Sunday, and we were planning today to show the Ogden Train Show. But one thing led to another, and there was actually this blizzard. And there was actually a series of snowstorms that have had us kind of locked in. And rather than risk driving on the freeway and going to the Ogden Train Show, we just stayed in, which is good because the freeways were a mess that afternoon. So anyway, we won't be showing you the Ogden Train Show today, so I thought instead I'd get you caught up with a few things around the garage here. This is Steve's lovely diorama, and right next to Steve's wonderful High Street diorama, we're going to be putting the Delton Fir Wagon and fire station diorama, which we just recently finished. And moving on from that, let's come out here. So here's the Delton Fir Wagon and fire station that will go right over there. I was working on the great big canyon here before the Delton Fir Wagon arrived completely destroyed by shipping. And so this whole project got put on hold, and I've been working, now that that's done, back on this. So we'll be covering that on some shows. This is the Gardner Mill, and we'll be deep diving into that to some extent. And then my hope and my plan is to then get back on the giant canyon here and finish the tunnel portals and the missing bits of cliff and whatnot here. So if you've been following along for the last month, this is what we've been working on, the Delton Fir Wagon and fire station. And ostensibly it's one of 5 that were ever built, and one came up. I always wanted one, and there it is. It was shipped out to us, but it got completely destroyed in shipping.
Which is unfortunate.
So, as often happens, unfortunately, we sort of set other projects aside, and because we can't just leave this thing like this.
No, or it will sit that way for years.
Yeah, we either get right on it or we'll never get on it.
Right.
And of course, the weather had sort of kept us inside. I like running the trains in the snow from time to time, but it has to be just the right amount of weather.
Right, not howling winds and vertical and horizontal snow at the same time.
Yeah, so we were working on. And this is the Gardner Mill that goes in the giant canyon, and that's what I went to work on after we completed the fire wagon. And my plan was to continue working on the Gardner Mill here and finishing up the entire large canyon. But sometimes weird things happen here in Utah.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah, so what this is actually the result of something called a downslope wind.
Not anti-gravity children.
Every few years here, if the wind is out of the east at just the right angle and everything, it goes over the mountains and picks up speed, just like air moving across an airplane wing. And this particular event, the winds hit 116 miles an hour.
Yes.
At Garagemahal. There was damage.
Just a little.
One of our trees tipped over and just missed the railroad and hit the neighbor's garage instead.
Yes.
So I don't know if we were happy about that, but I was happy that the railroad wasn't destroyed. And, you know, we don't get a choice in those things. It's going to destroy what it's going to destroy.
Exactly.
Now, just as we didn't make it to the Ogden Train Show, we couldn't even get over to Garagemahal to see if there were this time the wind only hit 67 miles an hour.
Yes.
So our assumption was that probably everything got through it okay, but we couldn't get over there right away, and when we did get over there, it was night.
Right.
And so I went out to look at the railroad, and I'm peering around with my flashlight, and when I looked over here at the Nevermind, all there was an empty foundation.
How heartbreaking.
So anyway, come the morning, I was able to go out there and here's the roof.
Oh boy.
And that's all I could see, so I had to wait for the snow to melt back a bit. I was afraid walking around out here I was going to step on something and break it.
True.
So once the snow started melting back, more and more pieces started to emerge. And at a certain point, I was able to go through here and start picking things up and digging things out and seeing just exactly what was here, what was missing, and what the damages were. And fortunately, because it's a polar building with incredibly strong walls, while the wiring was all ripped to shreds and glue joints broken, none of the actual pieces have broken.
Well, that's a relief.
It's just a bunch of glue joints that have come completely apart, and of course all my wiring is shredded. And one window and a couple of pieces missing, but as the snow melted back, I was concerned that they might be 2 doors down in somebody else's backyard.
Or over in the irrigation ditch again.
Yeah, we've found things over there before. Anyway, it was all here. It was all in the yard, and I was able to recover everything, I think.
Oh, let's hope.
Because I haven't put anything together yet. So
right.
We shall see. So just as with the Delton Fir Wagon, this has to be prioritized. Otherwise, like we said, it's going to end up staying like this forever.
Right. If you don't jump on stuff like this right away, it just ends up in a box and lost.
And it's breaking my heart.
Oh, mine too.
Beautiful building looks like this.
Yes.
So this will be the next project up.
Well, and I've had a bad case of spring fever, but they were still selling Christmas ornaments over at Joann's. So I decided to buy a Christmas ornament and turn it into a spring ornament.
It's beautiful.
It gives me something to dream about when there's snow going past the window in a horizontal line.
And it's such a tiny little, it's a
teeny.
Christmas ornament.
It's teeny.
With a house inside it.
Yes, and it lights up.
It's just spectacular.
Well, then I decided to get this other wild idea, making a bus. So I sent for a bus. And, of course, my daughter, she just got her degree at the University of Utah, and her picture ended up on the side of a city bus.
Well, the thing I find most remarkable is they didn't tell her.
No, she got the picture taken, but they didn't say how they were going to use that picture exactly. But what a way to commemorate her graduation.
Well, and what a thing. She's out just grabbing a cup of coffee, and suddenly there her picture drives by.
Yeah, we saw it several times too.
Advertising her master's degree. That's just so darn cool.
The biggest problem I had was trying to catch a bus. I was just astounded that there were so many buses for sale on the internet, like eBay, and they want a small fortune for them.
Well, I love what you did with the paint job. It looks like a Salt Lake City bus.
Well, it's actually just tape. I just had some good decorative tape and printed that off the internet, but it's technically a New York bus, which is kind of funny because she's lived in New York as well.
Well, and then you duplicated the wrap that they've got on there. It looks just like the wrap.
Yes, that was the intent right there. Just like I say, to commemorate the event. I think it's kind of noisy for an electric bus.
Well, I sort of wish they would make some more noise. These things, especially the Teslas, they'll sneak right up on you.
Yeah, and I still like Borla exhaust note, so why don't they have like an app where you can add your own exhaust note? Then I've been working on this other model of mine because, like Roy Neary from Close Encounters, it wasn't quite right. My memory was a bit foggy, so I put another facade on it. I managed to find sort of a picture of it in my old high school yearbook, and there it was in its dilapidated glory, but it was enough of a picture that I could remember more what it was like. And then I decided to go ahead with my story about me going there when I was a little girl and my new red shoes, and so I got some figures from you and decided to recreate them into me and my mom and dad. So with these figures, I decided I had to change them around just a little bit to make them more accurate. The little girl was wearing a dress, and of course I changed it into capris like I wore when I was little, and she had a long ponytail and I had a short bob haircut. And same with the male, the dad, if you will. He always had a crew cut, and so I had to try to reshape the man's hairdo into a crew cut. So I got the figures painted, and of course I kind of remember the clothes that my parents wore right about then, and my favorite black capri pants, my new red kids, and I always wore this little gold-colored sweater everywhere I went till I outgrew it. So the whole scene depicts me and my mom and dad.
So this has always been a spectacular model of this theater from your hometown.
Right.
And this is what, the second, third variation that you've done on it?
It's still the first, but it's just that I keep changing it around because my memory is just, it's a little bit funny, and I've been combing everything trying to find a picture of it. There just aren't any. And of course the bigger one led to inspiration to make a smaller one. This is an N-scale version of that theater, but building something that big, then I found I had to build something that small, because now I have to tell the story of my hometown and that little section of Main Street that most of those buildings no longer exist, and yet so many people have fond memories of it.
And it looks like you're almost done with that.
Oh, there's still a few more houses to go on it, and of course a lot of trees. At one time there was a lot of like poplar trees, believe it or not.
Well, once it's finished, let's do a whole show on it.
Oh, it would be fun to actually go back and visit that little town and show where those buildings were with my models.
Let's do it.
Yes.
And I got started quite some time ago on the Gardner Mill. I had this casting, this urethane casting by Mountains in Minutes Forever and Ever. And it's actually a really, really great model. And I thought, well, I'm going to add a few details to it and put it in the bottom of the canyon under the big bridge.
Right.
Well, you know how these things go.
Yeah, it started with your wobbly wheel, and it went from there.
I replaced the wheel, added some details, did the Millrace, did a whole sound system for it, and now I'm into this thing about 2 months, and all it's supposed to be is just this little building at the bottom of the bridge.
Hey, but it's a good way to spend a snowy day.
So I'm actually quite close to having this finished, and then we'll do a couple of shows on building the Gardner Mill, and especially its motorized wheel and sound system and how all that came together. And then I'm going to have to get back on Nevermind.
Right.
Just skip ahead.
Uh-huh.
But first I need to finish this. I hate leaving a project half finished.
Right.
So all that's left is to finish the Millrace and put some water in it.
That's going to be the next fun thing, because it won't be real water.
No, but you have an idea for
I do.
So I think we'll proceed with that.
Yeah.
And once the mill, they got to get the figures done too, and I'm going to set the boat aside for the time being. The boat will be added later.
Oh, yes.
But we've got to get back on to now the Nevermind.
That's right.
And while we missed the Ogden train show, there's several wonderful train shows coming up. And as long as there's no blizzard blowing, we are going to make it to some more train shows. And pretty soon, Ed's going to be releasing the schedule for the big boy.
Right.
And we're hoping that this time they're going west.
Oh, that would be fun.
So at any rate, that's what we've been up to and what we continue to be up to. And with any luck at all, before the weather gets really good and we're working back outside on the Garden Railroad, hope to have the giant canyon over here finished, having the missing cliffs and color and tunnel portals and all of that sort of thing properly put together, and then starting work outside. Anyway, if you're not a member of the channel, please let me ask you very politely, if you would, to click on the join button and become a member of the channel, and it pushes a few dollars our way. If you don't want to do that, that's perfectly all right. But we would like it if you would subscribe. That doesn't cost any money at all, and if you're new to the channel or you're just sort of passing through, please hit the upcoming subscribe button. Zoink, right there, the blue subscribe button. Well, we're not sure how you found this video on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring, and we will see you here on Tuesday. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.